Hello aspirants, welcome back to India for IAS. This is Manjunath Mudod. In this video, we are going to study about inheritance tax. So this topic falls under GS3 paper, Indian economy, Indian economy. So within Indian economy, the subtopic is taxation part. So the topic is very important from prelims point of view, from mains point of view, and also essay. So this topic is also important from essay perspective also. Why? Because the content of the topic can be used in essays also. Why? Because in this topic we are going to discuss about inheritance tax, inequality in income, so then inequality in society. So those concepts we are going to deal. So from essay perspective also this topic is important. So from prelims perspective, the questions may come like what is inheritance tax, then whether it has inheritance tax in the past or not. So from mains perspective, it may be added as an one value addition point in answer writing. So this topic is very important for prelims, then it is important from mains, then essay. The inheritance tax, it came to news because of the recent ongoing debates in election rallies and manifesto in different political parties. So because of that it came to news. And in this video we are going to study about the concept of inheritance tax, whether India in the past it had inheritance tax or not, then the inheritance tax existed in different developed countries, then the need for inheritance tax, both pros and cons of the inheritance tax, then what should be the way forward. So these are all the topics that we are going to discuss in this video. So what is inheritance tax? Inheritance tax is the tax that is imposed on the inherited assets from a deceased person. For example, so there are two persons, person A and person B. Person B is the son of person A, and the person A has an assets or wealth of say around 100 crore rupees. So this person A, he is deceased, so his property goes to the person B. So this property, the tax on this 100 crore, because of this inheritance from father to the child or to the son, so this is called as inheritance tax. And this tax is imposed because it is inherited by the son, that is person B, from A. So because of this nature of inheritance, this tax is imposed, and the tax, it is solely based on the value of the wealth that is being inherited. So if it is 100 crore, it depends on the value. If it is 1000 crore, then the tax also depends on the value, that is, then it vary for 1000 crore also. So that is the inheritance tax. And one more thing about inheritance tax is it is also depends on the relationship between the two parties, that is the deceased person and the person who is going to receive the inheritance of the property. Say if they have a direct relationship like father and son, then the taxation rate is different. If they have an indirect relationship, say for example the property is inherited by party A and to his son-in-law he is C, so then the taxation rate also varies. So taxation rate, it varies based on the value of the wealth that is going to be inherited and the relationship between the deceased person and the heir who is going to inherit the property. Now we will look into the history of inheritance tax in India. India introduced a form of inheritance tax called estate duty in the year 1953. So it means India also had a kind of inheritance tax. So this inheritance tax was estate duty. So this estate duty, it was applied to all immovable and movable properties that are inherited upon the death of the person. So, and in the year 1985, this estate duty was scrapped because of the high litigation and tax administration cost. So because of high litigation and tax administration costs, it was scrapped in the year 1985. Then coming to the inheritance tax that is existed in United States of America. So the USA also has a inheritance tax. So this inheritance tax, it is present in, or it is imposed by 6 states in United States. Not all the states of the United States, they have inheritance tax. 6 states in the USA, they have inheritance tax. So this inheritance tax in USA, it is levied on money or property inherited from a deceased person. So this beneficiary who is going to inherit the property, he is going to fulfill the tax obligation. So this is about the inheritance tax in United States. Then there is an ongoing global debate and trend all over the world regarding the taxing the billionaires because of the inheritance of the property. And the proposals to tax the billionaires include implementing a global minimum corporate tax. Then in USA, the proposal is to include tax the individuals with a wealth over 100 million at a minimum rate of 25%. So this proposal is there in the United States of America to tax individuals who have assets or property worth rupees 100 million dollar. So the taxation rate is 25%. And the France and Brazil, they are advocating for a G20 declaration on taxing the super rich. So these are the trends that are going with respect to the taxation, taxing the billionaires all over the world, including the ongoing inheritance tax. Now the question arises, why has there been a growing demand for the implementation of inheritance tax in India? So why there is a debate over inheritance tax implementation in India? So why people are calling for the implementation of inheritance tax? So we will discuss the need or demand for the implementation of inheritance tax. So the first reason is the rising wealth and income inequality post-liberalization period, that is after 1990 was LPG reforms, there is a rise in wealth and income inequality in India. So there is a growth in wealth, that is the GDP of the nation is increasing. The income of the individuals is also increasing, whereas the difference between the wealth owned by the richest 1% and the bottom 50 bottom 60% of the population, there is a huge difference. For example, the richest 1% of the Indian population, it owns 51.5%, and the top 10%, it owns 77.4% of the nation's wealth, whereas the bottom 60%, it hardly owns 4.7% of the nation's wealth. So there is a huge disparity in income and wealth. This is one of the greatest cause of concern for policymakers. So this inequality in income, it has created the lack of inclusive growth in India. So for example, there is a growth in economy. So there is an increase in GDP. So there is a increase in the GDP growth rate also. But all the sections of society, they are not getting the benefits of the economic growth. So there is a disparity. So this is called this is called lack of inclusive growth. So only some sections of the society, they are being benefited from the economic growth, whereas the other sections, that is vast majority of the population, they are left behind. So they are not they are not included in the receiving the benefits of the economic growth. So this is shown by Gini wealth coefficient. So the Gini wealth coefficient in India, it is increased from 81.3% in the year 2013 to 85.4% in the year 2017. So this is indicating there is a growing inequality in India. So this growth in India, it is not inclusive. It means that only few sections of the society, they are being benefited from the economic growth, whereas the vast majority of the population, they are not getting the benefit of economic growth. So that is the meaning of lack of inclusive growth. Then the third reason why there is a demand for implementation of inheritance tax is to fund the social sector institutes. So for example, in India, the hospitals, the universities and other institutions, they require fund for functioning. So this the fund that is being collected from inheritance tax, this can be used to fund these hospitals, universities, and other institutions which are more efficient in providing the social justice to the vast majority of the population. So, for example, in USA, the Harvard University, it receives funds from the estates and it's exempted from inheritance tax. Then the fourth need or demand for the implementation of inheritance tax is the need for more direct taxes. The government needs additional sources of direct taxes like inheritance tax. It is needed to explore or to contain the fiscal deficit as mandated by the FRBM Act. So this is because the government's fiscal deficit increased post COVID-19 pandemic. Because of COVID-19 pandemic, the government increased its capex spending, it increased its social sector spending. So because of that, incurred the heavy fiscal deficit. So the government needs additional sources of direct tax like inheritance tax to contain the fiscal deficit as mandated by the FRBM Act. Then the fifth reason is international practices. So the inheritance tax, it is not new concept. It was existed in India also. So it is existed in many developing countries or many developed countries like England, France, Germany, and USA. So India's Southeast Asian counterparts like Philippines, Taiwan, and Thailand, they are also levying inheritance tax. So this is not entirely new concept. Many developing and developed countries, they have inheritance tax. So then sixth reason is this inheritance tax, it helps to reduce the inequalities that is existed in India. Like it prevents the concentration of income and wealth. So it promotes the intergenerational equity and it reduces intragenerational inequality. So this is the benefit of the inheritance tax. Then the seventh reason is increased revenue for public welfare. So the tax collected by way of inheritance tax, this can be used for the public welfare. Like it can be used for education, like social sectors like education. It can be used for hospital building. It can be used for implementation of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, Atal Pension Yojana. So many other social sector spending, that is public welfare related schemes, the fund can be used for the such schemes. Now we will look into the challenges associated with the implementation of inheritance tax in India. So if government, if it is going to introduce inheritance tax, then what are the challenges associated with this inheritance tax? So we will look into one by one. The first one is difficulty in evaluation. The governments require substantial expenses and expertise for property valuation and tax collection. If tomorrow, if government introduces inheritance tax, so then the property valuation itself is very difficult. So it needs skilled tax officers and also requires expertise in property valuation and tax collection. So it introduces difficulty in evaluation. Then the second one is risk of business closures. So the pressure on less profitable and small businesses due to extra taxation burden. So the inheritance tax, it is an extra taxation burden. So because of that, there will be a pressure on less profitable and small businesses. So this leads to the recipients who are going to inherit the less profitable and small businesses, they may struggle to pay taxes. This leads to distressed sales and business closures. Then the third point is flight of capital and entrepreneurs. It means due to the introduction of the inheritance tax, the entrepreneurial mindset and the people with financial resources, they may leave the country and they may go to other countries and they will start in investing in those countries where inheritance tax is not existed. So this leads to the flight of both capital and entrepreneurs. Then the fourth challenge is dampening capital asset creation and inflation. So the inheritance tax, it discourages the savings and it promotes consumerism. Why? Because if tomorrow, if you have created a wealth of 100 crore, if government is going to impose 25% wealth inheritance tax on that, then the people think that, so if saving is, then people think that saving is not an encouragement, there is no encouragement for the savings from the government, so they will think in spending more instead of savings. So it promotes the consumerism. So it is potentially leading to a higher inflation in the economy. So it also dampens the spirit of capital asset creation. So if there is no capital asset creation, it hinders the economic growth. So these are the challenges associated with implementation of the inheritance tax. So then what government should do in order to overcome these challenges, how it should benefit the, or how it should reap the benefits of the inheritance tax. So we will look into those aspects. The first suggestion is introduction of higher thresholds. It means if government, if it is going to introduce inheritance tax, it should introduce it to a higher threshold to reduce the burden of inheritance tax on small inheritances. So the threshold should be higher, not small. Then the second suggestion is to make provisions for donations to hospitals and universities. It means exempting endowments to hospitals and universities from inheritance tax calculations to encourage the philanthropy. So what government should do? Government should encourage the endowments to hospitals and university, and that much of the money should be discounted from the calculation of inheritance tax. So this encourages the philanthropy. So this helps in development of hospitals and university. Then the third suggestion is improving the government's tax administrative capacity. So what government should do? It should enhance the tax agency's capabilities using information technology tools like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data. So this helps to reduce the administrative costs, and it also ensures the compliance rates. Then the fourth recommendation or suggestion is changes in complementary taxes like wealth tax and gift tax. It means government should modify complementary taxes like wealth tax and gift tax to prevent the evasion of inheritance tax by wealthy people. So this addresses the creation of family trusts like Hindu undivided family for tax avoidance purposes. So this is all about inheritance tax, the nature of inheritance tax, the historical aspects of the inheritance tax in India, then the challenges associated with inheritance tax, the benefits arising out of implementation of inheritance tax, then the few suggestions to introduce the inheritance tax in India. So based on the topic that we have discussed so far, here we have provided one prelims practice question. Go through the question and comment your answer. Answer and detailed explanation for this question is available in the PDF handout. The PDF handout also contains the detailed notes of the video. So you can join this PDF is available in the Telegram channel. You can join the Telegram channel and download the PDF handout. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Till then, happy learning.